What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Chat HVAC. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Chat HVAC. If you watched last week's episode, you probably realize I'm wearing the same clothes as last week. I promise I wear different clothes. These two episodes were just recorded in the same day because I'm going to be out of town when this is released. So fret not. I do my laundry. I just wanted everybody to know that I'm not gross and I don't wear the same clothes all the time. No shame if you do, though. Like I have been guilty of wearing a shirt and then washing it that day and then wearing it like 2 days later or the next day just because it's clean. I did laundry, so leave me alone. If anybody judges you for that, don't let them. Maybe this is just me trying to justify why I'm wearing the same clothes in 2 episodes back to back. All right. Well, enough of that nonsense. I'm Scott Jackson with Comfort Solutions Heating and Cooling in Lebanon, Ohio. We're based in the Cincinnati area. And today we're going to tackle one of the easiest, most overlooked ways to keep your home comfortable, your air filter. Now, we kind of talked about that a little bit last week. We're going to get into the weeds this week, and we're going to talk about what all those things mean, why they're important, what they do if they're dirty, what MERV means. What is that? So we're going to get into all of that today, and I'm going to walk through why it matters, how to check it, and how this small change could save you big money this fall. So, why do air filters even matter? They're annoying. I have to change them every 30 to 90 days. Why do they even matter? Why do we have them? Well, we have them to take the dirt, dust, particulates out of the air. It at least stops the dirt that's in the house from getting into the system, and at very least damaging your blower motor, damaging the electronics that are inside the unit. It's protecting the interior workings of the system. That is one thing that it does. Its primary function, however, is to increase the air quality that's in the house by removing dirt and dust from the air. So it's brought in from the return side. Every HVAC system has a return and has a supply. The returns are the ones that suck air in to the system, and the supplies are what blow air out. I know this might be extremely rudimentary, but there's probably some homeowners out there that just think it blows out air and don't think about anything else, and that's perfectly fine. That's why I'm here. But it's like if you have those big box fans, the front side blows the air out, but if you put a piece of paper up against the back, it's going to stick right to the back of it. Same concept. The back is the return, the front is the supply, and your HVAC system has the same type of system. So the filter is in the return side of the system. And what's happening is it is blocking the dirt and dust that's in the house that gets pulled in through the returns. So it's pulling in through the returns, meeting your filter, and then the filtered air, so the air that has the dirt and dust removed from it, is then supplying that air to the rest of the house. So that's the biggest reason why they're important and the biggest purpose that they fulfill. Now, a dirty air filter can affect airflow, of course, because if it gets too plugged up, it's going to be like sticking a cardboard box. Like I said last week, it's going to be like sticking a cardboard box right in the middle of that airstream. And you're just not going to be able to move any air past it. And if you can't pull air in, you can't blow air out. And we're going to cause a lot of stress on the blower motor. We're going to cause it to pull more amperage than it should, showing that it's under a little bit of stress, which could potentially increase your energy bills depending on how long the system is running. And not to mention, the filter's primary function is to have good air quality. In a plugged filter, you're going to have poor air quality. The more plugged a filter, the less effective it is, if that makes sense. Now, there is a little bit of a link between filters and HVAC lifespan. If you have a 1-inch filter that you replace every 3 to 5 years, your system's probably going to struggle. It's constantly going to be under stress. The blower motor's constantly going to be working harder than it should be. When you finally pull that dirty filter out, if you ever have a plugged filter, turn your fan on, turn your air conditioner on or something, and pull it out while it's running, you will literally hear your blower motor breathe a sigh of relief because it'll go from being extremely loud, extremely noisy to just kind of like a, oh, thanks for that. So the link between lifespan and filters, is a filter going to 100% kill your system? I'm not going to say it can't. It could, and that is something that can happen. It's something I have seen happen where a customer, a lot of pets in the house, they don't replace the filter regularly. It's maybe every 1 to 2 years, and they've got a little 1-inch filter that gets constantly plugged, and we're going out for service calls all the time. We recommended a maintenance plan to them, but they just didn't want to do that, so we could change the filters for them. But over time, this blower motor is just working harder and harder and harder and getting dirtier and dirtier and dirtier, and eventually the blower motor seized up. They didn't end up replacing the system, of course, but it's a major repair. And major repairs on systems are big deals. And if we can save you $1,200 from replacing a variable speed ECM blower motor, then we will. And that's what we're here to do here on this podcast. Now, common mistakes, you could probably guess it. What are some mistakes that customers or homeowners like yourself make with air filters? Anybody? That's right. You forgot to change it. Go change your filter. This is your reminder to go change your air filter. Another one is they commonly get the wrong size, the wrong type, those kinds of things. And we'll talk about sizing and types of filters and things like that, and why it's important for air to not be able to get around the filter. Now, I mentioned last week, and I'll go into a little bit more of it this week, but an anecdotal story of why filters are important can be found in my own home. Now, I'm an HVAC technician. I have been for 10 years. I work for an HVAC company, and I change filters all year long. And in my own home, an air filter prevented my air conditioning from working. So I'm sitting in my bedroom one night, and I'm like, man, it's really hot in here. It's usually cold in my bedroom when the air conditioner's running. And I go to the thermostat. It says 78 degrees. I got to set it 72. I'm like, what gives? I'm an HVAC technician. This shouldn't happen to me. Well, it did. I looked, thought about it. I don't need to have a service call. I just need to change my air filter. So I looked at my air filter. Absolutely dirty. It was atrocious. I felt ashamed to be an HVAC technician in that moment because I forgot my own air filter. But that is one thing that can happen. A lot of customers, when they call in, or homeowners, when they call in and they'll say, hey, my air conditioner's not working. And we ask them, when's the last time you changed your filter? Their reply, 9 times out of 10, will be, well, it was probably like 2 years ago, but why does that matter? Right? That's everybody's question. Why does that matter? And that's what I've tried to establish for us here today. So air filters are important. Don't neglect them. You should change them. Now, on every air filter, you will see a MERV rating. That is MERV. That is an acronym that stands for Minimum Efficiency Reporting Value. Okay, Minimum Efficiency Reporting Value. And it's basically a way to measure how well an air filter cleans the air in your home. It's just a unit of measurement to measure its efficiency, so to speak. Just like we have SEER, S-E-E-R, for air conditioners, Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio. That was a bonus. Go ahead and write that down if you don't want to forget it. But a low MERV rating, again, minimum efficiency reporting value, would be considered 1 to 4. These are extremely basic filters. We're talking fiberglass filters that you can see through. Okay, we've got fiberglass and we've got pleated. They serve 2 different purposes. Fiberglass, extremely low efficient, catches the big pieces of dirt, maybe some pollen if you're lucky. Not going to do a whole lot to improve your air quality. It's pretty much just going to protect your HVAC system like we discussed earlier. Medium MERV rating, 5 to 8. Okay, so these are when we start getting into the pleated filters. I think the lowest MERV rating for a pleated filter is a MERV 8. These filters catch smaller particles than their fiberglass counterparts. Pet dander, pet hair, pollen, mold spores, dirt and dust, of course. Most homes will do okay with this type of filter in it. It's going to protect your system. It's going to do a little bit more for you as far as indoor air quality is concerned than the fiberglass filter will. Now, I know what you're thinking. I can hear you. Those pleated filters are so dang expensive. You're right. They are a little bit more expensive than the $3 fiberglass filters that you can buy from Ace Hardware, but they're worth it. And if you can understand what each level of filter does, it's not my job to tell you what filter to get. It's just my job to tell you what each efficiency does and how the higher efficiency filters are better than your fiberglass filters. You might understand it. You might be willing to invest in it. Most of the time, people just don't want to spend the money on their air filter because they're not under the impression that it's a very big deal. I'm here to tell you different. Your air filter is a big deal. So high MERV ratings, we're looking at 9 to 12. So MERV 11 is kind of what you're going to see available in stores and things like that. You probably won't find a MERV 9 too much, maybe a 10, 11. These definitely are pleated filters. These catch even smaller particles than their two counterparts. So they do everything the previous two did, plus fine dust and some bacteria. They're really great. This is really the kind of filter, if somebody has allergies all year long, like me, there's some of us that are blessed that have allergies all year long. Summer, winter, it doesn't matter. I am one of them. I have asthma, so air quality is something that I generally care about in my own home. These are filters that if somebody in your home struggles with allergies, this is where I would start. Now, this isn't probably the filter I would get and not the filter that I get because I personally struggle with allergies. But these are great for people with allergies. We're starting to catch bacteria. We're catching mold spores. We're catching fine dust and pollen in the home. All of those things that cause allergy flare-ups, we're going to be catching those things in your filter. Now, we have very high MERV ratings, which is a 13 to 16. These are hospital-grade filters, okay? They catch tiny particles like smoke, bacteria, even some viruses. Now, if you want to get into purifying the air and killing bacteria, killing viruses, those kinds of things, we would be looking at like a whole home air purifier like the Remy Halo. Lennox has a whole home air purifier that's similar. There's the iWave out there as an ionization product. But those things will kill bacteria, viruses, allergens, those kinds of things. Air filters are just going to stop them from circulating through the home. So most systems, if your duct system is not designed properly, most systems might be restricted by these. I would probably check with your HVAC company, because one thing that they can do, and one piece of information I'm going to give you so you can be armed with to ask them is, can somebody come out and take a static pressure reading of my duct system? Just ask them that, because there's lots of technicians that they might not understand what each filter does or the value of the higher efficiency filters like your MERV 16s to keep your air really clean. They're just going to look at a MERV 16 filter and say, no, this is going to stop your air up. You need to put in one of these, and hand you a fiberglass filter. Don't do that. Before they tell you to get the fiberglass filter and then their reasoning is, well, it's just cheaper. Don't listen to them. Yeah, it is cheaper. They're right. They're not lying to you. But they're probably recommending the cheaper option to you because they don't understand the value of the MERV 16. The MERV 16 filter, and I'm not here to sell you filters. I'm just here to let you know what each filter does, okay? The MERV 16 filters is probably the best filter that you can get, but before you put one in your system, I would have a static pressure reading taken on your system. What this is the pressure reading in the return side of the blower, the pressure reading on the supply side of the blower. Like we just discussed earlier, there's a negative side, which is return, it pulls air in, and there is a positive side, it blows air out into the home. We put an instrument on each end of the system. We're measuring the negative pressure, we're measuring the positive pressure, and the total external static pressure. Say that to a technician, they'll be blown away. So call a company that you trust. If you're here in the Cincinnati area, call Comfort Solutions. I will come out and take a static pressure reading for you. This is something that I tell all of my other technicians here. We have to take static pressure on every call, on every maintenance visit. It's so important to understand if your airflow is correct. And what we can do is measure your static pressure before we put in the MERV 16 and after. And if it is well within the range of acceptable static pressure, the system's not under any stress, you're good to go. If it's not, that's probably a problem with your duct system. And the company that you have out, if you don't live here in Ohio, or if you're here in the Cincinnati area, if you have us out, we can suggest some modifications to your ductwork to be able to allow it to have the proper inlets and outlets to the system and things like that. So key takeaways here, enough talk about MERV, okay? Again, what's MERV stand for? Minimum Efficiency Reporting Value, MERV, MERV. Ask your next technician if they know what MERV means. That might be a fun icebreaker with your technician if you're looking to make conversation. So key takeaway here, the higher the MERV rating, the cleaner the air, but also the harder it is for your HVAC system to push air through if the duct design isn't proper. If you want that higher efficiency filter, have a static pressure reading taken on your duct system so that we know it's going to behave properly. This is why it's important to balance air quality with system efficiency and those kinds of things. But you can have both. So how do we balance efficiency and airflow? Well, like we said, take a static pressure reading. If your static pressure is elevated, even with the filter out, you probably have a duct system problem or a major obstruction somewhere in the house, piece of furniture sitting over a return, those kinds of things. That's usually the most common. We'll go ahead and address that, take your static pressure reading again, and we will be able to put in that higher efficiency filter for you. Some special considerations. If you have pets in the house, like dogs, cats, hamsters, gerbils, anything that sheds, probably want at least a MERV 11 filter. That's the minimum that I would get. If you have allergies, if you have kids, I have 3 and they're messy. If you have kids, they track in grass and things from the house. Your dog tracks grass and things into the house. All of these things are reasons why you might want to consider a higher efficiency filter. So moving along here, we're going to cover some maintenance tips here. Checking your filter. Some people don't really know where it's at. Some people just don't want to check it. Now, if you have a gas furnace, which means you have natural gas into your house, you have a furnace that sits in your basement or your attic or wherever, and it has an exhaust pipe, so either a PVC pipe if it's 90% efficient or a metal pipe if it's 80% efficient. Either way, on the right or left-hand side of that furnace is going to be your return that ties into it. Your filter is most likely going to be in those locations. Now, some really old furnaces have their filters inside of them. We're talking like pre-1990. So some of those furnaces have the filters built into them. That's no longer code. They're not allowed to do that anymore. All filters should be external to the system to be easily changed. If you have a snap closure, just pull that off. If you have a little flap that opens, just flip that open, pull your filter out, take a look at it. If it looks dirty, just change it. Recommended replacement schedule. Here's how you can kind of know if it's about that time. 1-inch filters, the little ones that are 1 inch thick, every 30 to 90 days. Do not go longer than 90 days. I would start checking it at 30 days. If it's still good at 30 days, check it at 60. If it's still good at 60, replace it at 90. Don't just check it and say it's good for another 30 days. Replace it at 90 days. It's a 1-inch filter. It doesn't have a lot of surface area. Change that filter. 2 to 4-inch filters. Every 3 to 6 months, depending on the thickness, okay? A 2-inch filter, I would look at 3 months. So check it at 90 days. If it's okay, don't let it go longer than 4 months. If it's a 4-inch filter, you could probably check it at 4 or 5 months. I would not let it go longer than 6, okay? So change it at 6 months. Again, if it looks dirty, change it. Your 5-inch filter, every 9 to 12 months. Start checking it at 9 months. Same principle here. It's just with each, as the thickness grows, the filter surface area is expanded, especially with the pleats in the filters. The pleats offer more surface area for filtration to be able to catch dirt and dust and that kind of thing. Bonus tip, set a reminder in your calendar. Super easy. If you have an iPhone, go to your calendar, set a thing on there, like an event, that's exactly the distance away that you need to check your filter, and have it repeat on a cycle. You can set it how often you want it to repeat. Very helpful. Helps a lot of the homeowners that we have around here. But probably the number one filtration mistake that homeowners make, really truly, is just thinking that it doesn't matter. Your filter does matter. Changing it on time matters. And understanding what the different efficiencies of filters do is a good thing because it can help you make the proper decision and an educated decision on what filter you want to make. So whether you're walking through the halls of Ace Hardware or Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever you're at, your local hardware store, picking up a filter and you just want the cheapest one, or you have an HVAC technician standing in front of you, you will be armed with information to be able to tell you if they're giving you accurate information as to what MERV reading means, what is most important for your home. So if you don't have allergies, you don't have any respiratory problems, you don't have dogs, you don't have kids, you live there by yourself, you could probably get by with a basic efficiency MERV rating filter. But if you have all of those things in your house like I do, go with a higher efficiency filter. You won't regret it. So, kind of some key takeaways from this episode, just so that you can walk away with something tangible. Check your filter. If you have a 1-inch filter, 30 to 90 days. 2 to 4-inch filters, 3 to 6 months. 5-inch filters, 9 to 12 months. That's the recommended changing frequency schedule. And if you haven't for a while, you can't remember the last time, go check your air filter, just for goodness sakes. And last review, what does MERV mean? Minimum efficiency reporting value. Not that that's super important, but it helps you understand what it means, what it does, and why the higher MERV ratings might be something that you want to consider. So, all of that being said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here for today. Thanks for tuning in to Chat HVAC. If today's tips have helped you, hit subscribe. If you've watched it for this long, go ahead and like the video. Those things help us out a lot. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave a review of the show. That would help us out tremendously. Our advertisement is how you tell your friends. So right now, go ahead and leave a review. Write what you like about the show. Leave a comment if you're on YouTube. We'd love to hear your questions. And again, send us your questions. If you have a question, it doesn't have to be air filter related. If you have a question that maybe another HVAC technician gave you some information and you just want to verify it, or if you were thinking about your HVAC system as a homeowner and you just want some clarity on a topic of your heating and cooling system, go ahead and send it our way. Our email is info@comfort-solutions.net. Again, that's info@comfort-solutions.net. If you live here in the local Cincinnati area of Ohio, give us a call. Our email and phone number information is going to be in the description of this podcast, as well as our website. You can go there and fill out a contact form and get in touch with us that way. Next week, we are going to dive into the conversation that nobody wants to have: repair or replace. How to know when it's time for a new system. When is it time just to give up the ghost and move on? Or should you just repair it and save yourself a few $1,000 and buy yourself another couple years? All of that and more will be coming at you next week. So in the meantime, stay comfortable. I'm Scott Jackson with Comfort Solutions. This is Chat HVAC, and we will see you next time.